So let's start with young Randy wondering what in the world you're going to do with your life. Like, what did you think you were going to do when you got older?
Um, I always thought I was on the artistic side. So from a very young age, I like to sketch, like to doodle, doing crafts stuff. Not particularly thought I was as on the creative side, more just artistic side. So something in that vein. I grew up overseas in Taiwan. Growing up over there, Japanese influence is big over there. So whether it's a television, anime, cartoons, or mangas, graphic novels, those are really big influence. So I always thought, hey, maybe a career as a graphic novel artist. Because I like to draw, and I like that even from a young age, that regimentedness of having to produce something within a short time frame appeals to me even from a young age. And I just worship some of the graphic novels, the mangas I read, from things like Dragon Ball Z, and all the way to things like Knight of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya's, or even there's a couple of Romance of the Three Kingdoms ones. I like history, and I always thought, hey, maybe I get my hands on the right material, I can illustrate and bring the story to life. Things like that.
That's cool. Yeah, and that's funny. Like, it's funny you bring up Romance of the Three Kingdoms, because that's one of the things we connected on, right? And something that we've talked about off and on for like 15 years now. So that's a fun thing for us anyway. I'm always curious how many other people know of the series, really care about the series, because for me that started with the game Destiny of an Emperor on the Nintendo, the original Nintendo. So that's where I first learned about it, and then from there it was, Romance of the Three Kingdoms and then Dynasty Warriors and all of that. So those games I've been playing since I believe it was around 8th grade when I played that first one. So
Dynasty of Warrior. Actually, that's something I didn't know. I always thought you are playing on the Koi game.
That's what I moved to. Yeah, I played through. I started that one with, 4 was the first one that I like really dug into, and I probably put 1,000 hours into that, and then from there it was that whole series. So yeah.
Then what about, do you know a game called Dynasty War or Destiny War? That was on the arcade.
No.
It was an action-based game based on the same character design by the same graphic novel artist that illustrated the series. It's like an alternate history thing.
Really? No, I did not.
And that's how I fell in love with that particular piece of history and that story.
Interesting.
It was the arcade action game. I don't know anyone here that knows about that series. And then they also made a follow-up that wasn't quite as successful. It was the one where the characters, the 5 generals of Liu Bei, and you control one of them, your choice. And then it's a brawler, but you sit on the horse throughout the entire game.
Interesting.
And it was a really fun brawler. And I spent countless hours at arcade playing that game. When my family immigrated over here, I'm just like, there's no way. One of the things I remember I was bawling, and my parents asked me. I was 6th grade, and just like, what will you miss from here? Your friends, the school, the environment. I'm like, no, it's the arcade games that you won't be able to find it over in the US.
Interesting.
But I found it actually. My family first moved over to Hawaii in 1990. That was our first stop. My dad's side of the family lives on the island of Oahu. And I went to the mall. They took me to the mall. I believe it's Pearl City Mall. There I found it. It was just, everything's in English rather than in Japanese. But I know the character. I know the game well. I know the character well. And I asked for a quarter. I think quarter or 50 cents. I don't know. And and my aunt thought, oh, that was cute. He found something he liked, and then she proceeded, I think, just stood there, watch me over an hour, like because I was so good at that game, and just I won't die.
That's
It kept
funny.
going. And thereafter, I think every weekend I asked my parents, like, can we go to the mall, please, and just leave me there.
Right. Yeah, we didn't have a mall where I grew up, but it was pizza places that had the arcades where I grew up. So that was where,
Mhm.
but it was never anything like that. It was always the more traditional stuff for US, right? Like, your Pitfall and Galaga and all of that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
it wasn't until, I don't know, probably my late teens, but before I got to like real arcades and saw some of the cool stuff that was, from other places, which is nice. So yeah, mine was mostly home stuff because like I even lived outside of town, so home video games is most of what I did in that regard for
Mhm.
sure. So you were in Hawaii, and how old were you at that point?
I was 12.
Okay, and how long were you there? Like, did you graduate high school there, or?
No, no. We were there for a very short period of time. I think one semester, 1 year. I
Okay,
can't quite remember. Very short. It was more. My family moved because of opportunity. We had a chance to come over to apply for immigration, and we actually got in the lottery.
nice.
So we were able to move together as a family to the U.S. But there was two choices: either move over to Hawaii, where my dad's side of the family resides, or move to Southern California, which
Mm.
is my mom's side of the family.
Okay.
Dad has to say he want to give that a try first, and we decide that's our landing spot.
Gotcha.
But Hawaii is mainly uh, they sustain on a lot of the tourism and
Hmm.
and entertainment. No different than Orlando, where you are at.
Right.
So you have to essentially be in that industry. But at the time, there wasn't an influx of any sort of Taiwanese or Chinese or Southeast Asia tourists. It's mainly Japanese back then. In the
Interesting.
80s and the 90s, and we don't speak Japanese, so the only thing my dad can do is working at places like restaurants, things like that, and that wasn't great opportunity for him.
Sure.
So my family decided that, and also back then, for even though there was a number of quite substantial number of immigrants coming in, there wasn't, at least the schools they were considering for me, there wasn't very many English as second language programs, at least not as well established as here in Southern California and other parts of the country.
Okay.
So I wasn't I wasn't having a great time learning. I remember one of my classes. I believe they put me in a science class, but they don't know what to do with me. Um, so he just fed me um not crossword puzzle, but the one that it's finding words, search for words, and then you circle it vertically, word search,
Yeah.
basically, and just continuously give me A on it. And during the parent teacher conference, and they told my parents, I remember specifically, he's doing great. I'm just like, I'm not doing great at all. I'm just glad I'm passing times, and but he honestly doesn't know what to do with me. So I'm
Mm.
not progressing with my learning nor with my language skill. I literally was tossed into the school without any sort of prep.
Mm.
Really, I know, like, what, about 50 vocabularies that I can use to get me through the day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a funny story. That's again my other love affair with a computer game. That's when it came in. Um, in back then, when the game was on PC, there's a lot of, like, typing in the word strings.
Yep.
Um, and then you see if the computer actually have those words in the banks, in
Right.
in the day of events. And then if you trigger the keywords, then the character will respond. And there's a lot of experimentation with that. So I love playing those games, and those are things that you cannot get on the on Nintendo or Famicom game.
Yeah, did you play like the King's Quest and Sierra stuff?
Right. Heroes Quest, like all the old Sierra games. Yep. Yeah, the adventure game, King's Quest, Space Quest, and then Heroes Quest. Yep. Subsequently, I think it's Quest for Glory.
Quest for Glory, yep.
Right. And on top of that, my favorite game of all time came up. I saw my cousin playing it, and I'm like, what is this? It was Richard Garriott's Ultima 6 at the time.
All right.
And that is a fleshed out world. So previous to that, when I was playing on Famicom or Nintendo, I played things like Final Fantasy or the Destiny of an Emperor. Those are RPG. But this is the first time I saw a full-fledged world. And there's no this like when you get to the town, it zooms into the town. No, everything is a 1-to-1 scale. And I have never seen anything like that before. And I just fell in love with that game, and that is how it spurred my learning of the language, actually. So the funny thing is the first day of the class. So I spent the entire summer playing that, leading up to the first day of school. So I learned words like morning star or halberd or shield or breastplate and things like that, but I don't know words like schedule. So the teacher was asking, like, because she's trying to get me from the homeroom to my next class. It was junior high, first day of junior high, and one, I'm not accustomed to that. Growing up in Asia, it's the teacher that swaps in. Depends on what the subject is. But the whole class stays together.
That's a good idea.
And I didn't even know. So I just sat there, and everybody gets up and left like after the homeroom period. And I'm like, what is going on here? And my homeroom teacher is saying, like, you need to now go to the next class. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, do you have your schedule? Do you have your schedule? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh man. So then that was a learning, like, trial by fire, right? Like, you just kind of had to get in there and figure it out. That's terrifying to me. Having anxiety, that would be not fun at all.
It wasn't fun. I think that first 6 months, first year and a half, it was nutty. There was like everybody was trying to do homework or reading a section of the reading simply one page of those textbooks. It took me a whole night.
I
to
bet.
Read it. Like translating word for word. And what is this word that keep popping up that I see everywhere and it's meaningless? It's the THE, and I'm just like, wait, I think I just saw that word. Let me look it up again. Meaningless. And then when I hit the next one, it's like, I see a pattern here, but I don't know why this thing keep popping up. The Chinese language is really the construction of the words and phrases and the grammar is really simplistic. The complexity of the language all resides within the word, the character itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there's no tenses. There's no plural versus singular. To this day, I still struggle with that quite a bit.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's interesting. Man, I didn't think about that. That kind of being I guess I just kind of assumed that, when you were put in that position, you were ready for it. You know what I mean? Like that, just generally thinking that would be the case. Like that's tough. It's hard enough to absorb all of the information you have to in high school, much less trying to translate it into a language you can understand. That's that had to have been very difficult. So like, what was your general coping type? Like, how did you learn? Right. Because really what we're talking about is an exercise in learning. You had to learn even how to learn there.
Right. That's a great question. Either those kind of memory are just buried so far back in my
Sure.
head, or it's ultimately, even though it's a pretty aggressive learning curve, it's still gradual enough that just over time, I don't even know what the rate is, 50 word per week, and then just accumulate over time, and you start picking things up, just between TV and video games, computer games
Right.
specifically.
Interesting.
You start picking those things up.
So then it sounds like games themselves had kind of an even more special place for you, right? Like as a way to help, enhance your ability
It
to learn a
does.
language and live, right? Like essentially.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Right.
So as you were kind of finishing up your time in high school, like what was your thought at that time? Were you now like I'm here, I'm staying in SoCal, like this is my plan? What were you kind of planning to do or hoping to do?
Actually, in high school, my high school has some of the vocational classes, and someone suggested, I forgot who, maybe I can try drafting. Drafting is a precursor to architectural
Yeah.
design,
Mm-hmm.
mechanical design or architectural design. You start just by practicing drawing, and that's the closest thing besides just a regular art class in school that I can practice my design sense and my drawing skills. And I always loved the technical drawing, so I thought I would give that a try. So for a period of time, I actually thought I might go on and pursue the career of being an architect at that point. Still not letting go of my dream of being a comic book graphic novel artist, but to my parents, architect is a much more prestigious thing
Sure.
than being
Sure.
a graphic. I mean, they don't even think there's a career being a comic book artist or graphic novel artist, because they don't know the scene of the American comic at all.
Gotcha.
And they're like, how are you going to make it? So for a period of time, I thought I was trending towards that, but at the same time, my interest in computer has developed further. I was when I was in 10th grade, I started just taking computer apart because my family wasn't wealthy, right? But I want to be able to play the latest game, which I either borrowed from my cousins or straight up copied onto floppy disk from my cousins and install. And my computer is not able to keep up. And the only way is, instead of saying switch out my 386 and upgrade to a 46 or a Pentium,
Right.
you have to just swap out the bare minimum parts. Like, is it really a memory thing, or is this like I just have to swap out the newest hard drive? So I kind of taught myself on how to upgrade parts,
Yeah.
and that just I start developing interest with the computer more and more, and my parents just really encouraged me to say, okay, how about computer science as your undergraduate pursuit? And I just thought, like, sure. I mean, I'm interested in computer.
Right.
Let's learn that. Yeah. So applied to a bunch of colleges, got accepted to a number of them, chose University of California, San Diego.
Okay.
And just started my undergrad degree in CS there. But
I did not know that. Okay.
pretty much right off the bat, I think I flunked out my first quarter. Combination, just not used to the college life, and then also just this structureless. Like you really have to structure yourself. Like
Yep.
I don't know why I did it, because I think maybe in high school I had 7:20 a.m. classes. I'm the type that just like, let me just get it over with because I have a bunch of activity after school.
Right.
So instead of the 8 to 3 p.m. thing, I try to vote for the 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. thing. So in college, naturally, you would think, let me just pick the 8:30 a.m. because that's an hour and a half later than what I'm used to in high school. So
Right.
yeah, I picked a bunch of morning classes, and no, it just doesn't work. Most of the time, I can't get up early enough in the morning to wake up and pull myself to go to class. Um, yeah, at the same time, I start developing an interest in designing web development. Essentially, this is the first wave of web development back in 1995, 96 ish. That time frame where a lot of us are still using America Online
Right.
then. So having your own website at GeoCity
Yep.
and things like that seems really prestigious, and people go ooh and ah. And I also enjoy the instant gratification of it. So it's technical, but it's visual, and at the same time you're manipulating texturing and tags and things like that, and instantly you see the result of that. And then by tweaking the HTML a little bit, you can start adjusting things to make things look more professional. And I just thought, oh my god, this is it. This is what I want to really drill down. And in comparison, then the classes like programming language, like making a simple calculator and things like that, it's in comparison, it just really dull for me. So I spend more time developing website just for friends and family and just for shits and giggles, than focusing any time on my CS stuff. I did the bare minimum to try to pass a class. I did all this homework assignment, but I flunked the midterm and the final. That's kind of sort of the beginning of the end of my track. Yes, I continue to hang onto it until my middle of my second year of college. So I altogether, I think I took 4 or 5 CS courses until I finally just said, no, this is not for me.
Gotcha. So you're finishing up with college. You're now like web type development stuff is kind of where you're thinking, right? Did that kind of
right? So I no, not double major. It's still just 1 degree. But I majored in at my school, UC San Diego. They don't have a extensive like animation or game design. Well, and this is in the late 90s, right? So they don't even have that. So the closest thing is media art. And media art, you can go with the film production track or the graphic design track, I think, and or you can do a combination of both. You can be a generalist and take on both. So I chose that because I'm just like, I'm interested in filmmaking, the visual side of things. I love to doodle and make storyboards. With a storyline I have in mind, but I at the time I'm also interested in web development, so I say let's do both.
Okay.
So I have a sort of a comprehensive learning with film production and also graphic design side of things. But at the time, I don't know whether once I graduate, what I'm gonna pursue. But I know that since my home. My parents' house is in LA, and LA is sort of the where film production is. I sort of want to give that a try. For some reason, it didn't kill in my head back then. Maybe because it's still the time. Post-production, film post-production should be a no-brainer, giving someone who likes to tinker with computer, likes the graphic side, and also like the storytelling narrative side. Post-production would be it. Not until after I graduated, and just by chance got exposure to commercial post-production facility, and I thought, oh, okay, this could be it. But throughout my college, I worked. San Diego is another tech hub in California, so I worked for Sun Microsystem as their web designer, because at the time there's not too many people into doing that, and I just so happened taught myself do it. So kind of fell into it at the right time, at the right moment. This is right before the .com bubble 1.0 bursted. Right. So I was able to not entirely put myself through school, but living expenses are covered by doing this part-time job slash internship
Nice.
for some. So my plan was move to LA, trying to get a shot at working in a film production potentially. But in the meantime, my bills can be paid by working on web development on the side.
Interesting. So I think you might be the first guest that was completely not thinking games at all at this point in their life. So where did that start to change for you? Like, cause you and I had very similar paths early on with the games we played, the building of the computers, like all of that stuff. But when we hit college, for me, it was like, okay, now I'm actually going straight into games. For you, it was a little different. So where did that transition start to take place?
Right. So computer game I'm always in love with, but for some reason never queued in my head that would be a viable career path, because I think ultimately coming from the type of family background I had, the parent just thought it's not prestigious enough. People will not respect you if you go down that path.
Interesting.
And or even how would you even get in to that industry? Because in LA, at least I have a cousin and an uncle that has some tangential connection into the film industry, but there's no one I know immediately that has a connection into the video game industry. So I don't even know how to get into that. Real quick, after post my undergraduate degree, moved to LA, worked at the post-production commercial facility for a little bit as a technical assistant, learned a bunch of things about Avid, video editing, and got some exposure into this thing called 3D at the time. And 3D artists are the royalty back then in Hollywood, as in it's the same facility, and the computer you have to use Avid, right? Nothing else can work at the time. So if the compositor and video editor have to use those workstation, and the 3D artists also need to use those workstation, then the schedules becomes the king of the hill, which is a 3D artist would get to use it during the daytime. So they come in at 9 a.m. and they work till 5 p.m. And then when they roll off, the compositor comes in at 6 p.m. and work all night until 4 a.m. That's their time frame. And that planted a seed in my head. It's like this 3D animation, 3D modeling stuff might be the direction. They feel like they've been treated like royalty. So they get the golden hours while everybody have to work around them. So that may be something I want to pursue. But in the meantime, I'm getting burned out from that environment, because I have to show up at work as a technical assistant at 8 a.m. To prep the workstation, to transfer all the files, and then getting ready for the 3D crew to come in. And then I work alongside with them. And then once they roll off, I have to go fetch dinner for the compositing crew. Basically, they use me as a general do-it-all person,
right?
Which is fine. But by the time I all said and done, it's 10 p.m. So I drove home. By the time I got home, it's 11. I basically roll into bed, and then I get up at 6:30 and do it all over again. Man. And it's 6 days a week for that environment, and I just couldn't hang with it. And the compensation is shit, right?
Yeah.
Like Hollywood, they kind of say, hey, what you get is experience, and you get your foot in the door, sort of thing. So I just thought, no, maybe this path may not be for me, or if I need to be doing this, I need to go to school for it. But in the meantime, let me start researching into, okay, if I want to go back to school for 3D modeling, 3D animation, and doing visual side of things, which school should I go to? And start applying that process. But in the meantime, I went back to do web development, pretty committed to that.
Gotcha.
I think I landed at the Tokyo Pop. I don't know if anyone here knows about that company back in the 2000s. They were the first big graphic novel publisher here in North America. They licensed a bunch of big properties and start bringing them in. And then Viz joined in, and then a bunch of other like Dark Horse and things like that start joining after. But Tokyopop is really the one that negotiated a deal with Border bookstore and carved out a graphic novel section and start importing all those good stuff in. So I was their webmaster.
Weren't they importing soundtracks and stuff, like game soundtracks or something at one point? Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
So I think they started out as I can't remember their first name. It wasn't Tokyopop. It was Mix Entertainment, MIXX, and the CEO is just simply importing Japanese knickknacks. So videos, soundtracks, entertainment related, and I think couple adult videos. I mean, you got to make it work, right? When you first, you got to hustle. So, and then he hit a nerve with a graphic novel, and then that became their thing. They changed their name to Tokyopop and rebranded into something more wholesome, and then and went from there.
Interesting, huh? I'm learning a lot tonight. So then now you are focusing, or what you're going to go focus on the 3D art side of things, right? So that's kind of your new focus. Now, is that with games in mind? Like, is that kind of what you were thinking at that point? Still no.
It's still visual effects.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the same skills, right? Like that's, that stuff all translates.
Right.
I'm always just kind of curious the thought process.
Art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yes, sure. Back then there was like the whole eternal war, like video game people looking at the film people of like, you guys are sky's the limit, like all you care about is that final render image, but how you get there, it could be as messy as it gets, could be as ghetto as it gets, but as long the final image looks good, then that counts for everything. But in the meantime, you guys don't really know the in and out, that all of the how all the technical stuff would connect in the piece. You guys just care about image. But film people look at the game people back then, it's just like, you guys are so low poly.
Yep.
Like that's not
and they were right.
and right. So both sides have that chip on their shoulder, and they don't really mix, even though the skill is totally transferable. But at the time, my brain is still thinking about visual effects. So I went to Rochester Institute of Technology. I applied to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and then RIT, and what else? I think San Francisco Academy of Art, and then UCLA and USC as well. I didn't get into UCLA. I don't remember if I got into USC. I can't remember, but I chose New York because I want to get as far away from strange logic, getting away as far away from Hollywood as possible, so I don't get distracted.
Interesting.
Because a lot of people that I know at that point is the whole reason you're going to this advanced degree is to get a job when you come out. And a lot of people understand that getting a job means getting that internship. So a lot of people, like 1 year or 2 years into their study, they are all vying for that internship angle. And at the time, I thought, like, I really want to master this craft. I don't want to have to deal with like thinking about internship. And I know I'm a competitive person, so I might get feeling miffed if one of my classmates got the internship that I didn't get, and because I wasn't so on top of things. So I just want to get rid of all that in mind, and just wanted to go to a place where I can just focus on my study. And RT at the time works out for my parents because it's a 4-year institution, and it's to them it's a degree that you can eventually, if you don't want to work in the industry, you can go back to teaching. But even back then, I said to them, it's like, for this industry, it's about the experience and the credit you have. It's not about the prestige of your degree. But I'm ultimately fine with that, because I thought RIT would be a good place. For me.
Well, I mean, it's always been a place that I've heard great things about, right? So that's interesting. So you made a big move then, right? Like that's
I did.
So how did that go? Like what was that like for you?
I learned a lot about myself rather than have any real takeaway from the school, from that experience. I learned that I cannot do everything and make commitment to everything and do uh, um, the perfection for every single one of my class. So back in undergraduate college, right, I have average of one to maybe at most two production classes, and the other two are general, general classes you have to fulfill. So
Right.
all you have to do is do your homework, cram a little bit before the test, and then you get through it. But
Yeah.
I spend most of my time making as good of a short film or some short visual effect pieces as I can, and I sink a lot of time into that, and I take pride in them because I just enjoy that stuff, and I enjoy to show to my class. This is again back in the late 90s. I'm the only one who's doing editing work on my home computer with a powerful graphic card and the Adobe Premiere installed on it.
What was a powerful graphic card at the time? Do you remember?
Right. It was even before there's 3D FX that's for gaming.
I had those. Yeah.
But there's something else even before then. Riva.
Oh man,
I can't remember. Yeah.
what year was this?
This is 98 and 99.
Yeah, I think I had an ATI card around then.
Right. ATI was one of the big
Voodoo
brands.
cards. That's when the Voodoo cards were out
Voodoo,
too. Yeah.
3DFX Voodoo. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man.
But I think on top of that, you need to couple it with like video processing accelerator. So it's two sets of video cards in order to make that happen. So coming back to production classes, I think 110%, maybe at 200% of my time and energy and focus on it. But what do you do when you go into a school environment where all 4 classes are all production classes? You cannot be the best, perfection you can be, and creating wowy project for every single class and trying to wow people, and you have to make a choice. And I couldn't, and I suffered for it. I still crank out. I feel it's pretty kick-ass work, but I was burning out. And my class, that particular master's class of my year, are all extremely competitive people in the class. I think there was 20 of us. They have 20 incoming graduate students per year. The previous year was so helpful, so collaborative. To this day, I still keep in touch with them. Some of them, Kurt Nellis, I see him as my mentor back then. He is currently, I think, the lead cinematic designer at the 343 Industry on Halo project. And then who else? Ender is he has now his own mocap company, but prior to that he was a senior program manager over at Microsoft. So those guys helped my learning, and they taught me not just the production tricks, but even some of the lingo, like bump. There's a difference between bump maps versus what's the thing. Like at the time I didn't know the differences, and they were my TA, and they helped me with some of the Maya problems I was experiencing. But the whole idea is the TA can help you, the previous year can help you, but mainly you're supposed to collaborate with your classmate. Right. But my class, all of them are the type that's like, no, I'm not going to computer labs. I want to sit at home and then just make my project there, and then just want to wow everybody. So it becomes a very competitive environment. It doesn't help that I'm one too. So it becomes a fairly lonely experience, actually. Was
this a master's degree at the time?
This is a master's degree, MFA.
They tend to generally be that way, right? Like at least most people, I don't have my master's, but most people that I talk to, whenever I talk to them about their masters, it's a very like, I did this thing. I had, someone who was kind of, a faculty member that was walking me through it, that kind of thing. But it always, every story that I hear is a very like, it was me against the world. I proved this thing, or, and it feels like it was a very kind of solo thing. But you had an opportunity for it to be a very collaborative thing. Nobody wanted to, right? That's kind of what you're saying.
Right. Because for one class or a number of classes, they all have end of the quarter or end of semester project, and you can choose either a few people get together and working on a short, versus you produce your own short. And the previous year they opted, I think they all broke into small groups, minimally 3 people, maximum of 5 people. They all created their own short as a group. But my year is that everyone has their own short.
Interesting.
And the school wasn't very, even though it's very technical, on the film side of things, there's no instructor that's really well versed in 3D animation. So we basically have to just learn it by go to forums or getting Maya instruction manuals, and just teach yourself. And then trial by fire. Like when there's a rig that goes wrong, you're just like, what did I do wrong here? I don't know. Start posting messages on forums to see somebody can help you.
So it's interesting whenever I talk to people about education toward game development or in whatever area, what I say is really what you should be learning is how to learn, right? And how to research and find answers to these solutions. So what you're describing is what I'm used to as well, which is I have a problem, there's nobody to ask. I have to know how to go figure that out, right? And right. So like that discovery process and that seeking out the answer is a really important part of what, kind of in our industry you have to do, because you don't always have somebody to ask.
Right.
So it sounds like, as you were doing that, you kind of had that same kind of experience, and whether you wanted it or not, right? Like you kind of were forced into like I've got to figure this out.
Yep.
So then as you were finishing up your time, what was like as you're finishing up, how long is the master's degree program there? Like how long were you there at RIT?
Actually, it was for most of the school. When it comes to film, animation, game, it's 2 years degree. That school is a 3 years degree.
Oh, okay.
So the first 2 years is about the core classes, and then the third year is you're working on your thesis.
Okay.
So that school has a thesis program. So I always thought that's a little long, but at the time I wasn't thinking. I mean, that's 1 extra year. That's not very much. But after I joined, I'm just like, wow, that's one year too long. So at the end of my first year, I feel like I learned all there is to learn, as in from the school. I can always learn more, but things I can just teach myself. And at the same time, they don't offer. I don't remember, but I don't feel like they offer any summer courses where I can just like say, can I accelerate the 3 years and down to at least 2.5 or even 2 years? So I have to find something to do over the summer. That means either part-time job, find something locally over there, or just move back home for the summer, back to Southern California. And I thought, man, that either way, it may be a waste of time if I'm just hold up at home or hold up in my apartment in Rochester. So I say, how about then? Well, the one thing I don't want to be so-called distracted by now, it's really interesting to me, which is getting an internship. And at the time, my now my wife, but at the time my girlfriend, she's over in San Francisco Bay Area. So I I see that either I can move back to LA and potentially trying to land an internship with the film side of things, either post production or animation studio, or potentially move to the Bay Area and work for trying to look for an internship with a video game company,
Gotcha.
which Bay Area is the hub for.
Absolutely.
So then with that in mind, I think it was that was already around March then, and that's just at the height of companies are receiving internship resumes. So I applied to a bunch of things. That is when I start applying to video game companies, because I thought, hey, where else can I use 3D?
Yeah.
3D modeling, 3D skill set, and 3D animation. Oh, video game. So I say, hey, let me apply to some of that too. So I applied to a bunch of film post production places, and also game company. And I don't know how many company responded, but the two that I was considering towards the end is Film Roman on The Simpsons. It was a unpaid apprenticeship.
Ugh.
So basically, I don't
Gross.
know what the job was entailing, but basically you get to be on the production of The Simpsons as an unpaid trainee, or from EA, which is a paid internship. And for master degree student, I think at the time it was $18 an hour, which is really good.
Yes. But what year was
pay.
this? That was early 2000s?
2003.
Yeah. That's great.
Right. I think bachelor student it's $15 an hour. Master's degree student it's 18, and then PhD student. And I think do you know Kay Mason? Kay was a PhD student, and the PhD student is $21 an hour.
Wow.
And that was good money. So out of consideration, I'm just like, well, I'm taking the paid one. And I get to be with my girlfriend.
Well, and you get to work in games, which is something that you've loved since you were a kid, right? So like it's not like you were really, jumping into a position where you're like, oh shucks, like
right. Right. I'm just like, hey, game. I'm interested in game.
Right.
That could be I just for some reason never thought about it previously, but I love games and yeah, so game, getting paid, be with my girlfriend. I mean, like that's 3 for 3. Let's do it. But that's still an interview, right? So there's no guarantees. But I'm betting all my hope and dream, at least for the summer, on that. So what I did is I got the phone call or notice to say, hey, we would like to arrange for an interview, and they say, hey, can you come in? And this was Thursday, I believe. Thursday, I think. They call me that morning, Thursday morning, and say, hey, can you make arrangement to come in for an interview Monday first thing in the morning? And I said, is there a way to postpone? They say, no, we're in a hurry, because by that time it was already May, right? They need to EA University, which is a separate segment from the EA, they need to meet their quota. And get everybody placed, and they're just so happen to have this position they have not had a chance to fill, so they're in a hurry to do it. And the game Lord of the Rings Return of the King is they're short on staff.
Oh, wow.
And they're already over budget on that production. So one thing they thought is we can get more headcount from a different pool of money through the internship program. So I believe my year when I joined, there was 7 or 8 or 9 interns maybe.
Wow.
But rewind a little bit. So I say, yes, I will be there on Monday. And subsequently I thought, like, why did they think I can come in that fast? Because on my resume, my address was my girlfriend's address in the Bay Area. So they thought I was in the Bay Area. So they don't think it's unreasonable, and I don't want to break it to them. It's like, no, I'm actually out in New York. And
I love it.
Since I'm so into logistics, I thought it was more fun and a challenge to say, okay, let's see how we can make this work. So I already planned it out. Like when I was like I believe on the phone with the rep, it's like, it will take 3 days for me to. But basically, I have 3 days to get across the country. How do I do this? Can I do this? So I think I plotted out. Day one is from Rochester, New York to I think Des Moines, Iowa.
Wait, did
and
you
then second
drive?
day is yeah, drive, because
Oh my God.
I need some stuff. Yeah, I just like in the summer, like where am I supposed to park my car? Like, do I throw everything into storage? But I still need some stuff like my setup, my computer, and I need to get around. If I get this internship,
Right.
how do I get myself into work? So the easiest thing and the most straightforward thing, even though it's to normal people, maybe they're just like, why would you do that? But to me, it makes perfect logical sense that I need a car, therefore let me just drive, and I can do it.
Oh
So I think
man.
I planned out first day is Des Moines, Iowa. Second day is Salt Lake City, and then third day San Francisco Bay Area. So I did just that. I that afternoon I threw everything into. I moved out my apartment and just give a super short notice to the landlord, and just told landlord, it's like, I'm not coming back for the rest of summer, but I'm paying it through it, so you don't have to worry about anything. If you wanna say do a walkthrough and you find something wrong with the apartment, please just deduct my money out of it, and they're happy to do that. And then I think I threw everything in the storage by the early evening of that Thursday, and then Friday I started driving. 7 a.m. I woke up and just started driving west.
Wow.
And I think it took 13 hours to get to Des Moines, and then 14 hours. Slept and got up the next morning, and then drove 16 hours to Salt Lake City.
Dude.
And then third day it's another 13 hours. It was grueling.
You did pretty much the longest possible drive across country, right? Like from New York all the way to Southern California, like
to Northern California.
to Northern. That's right. That's right. But still,
right,
like that's an incredible amount of driving over 3 days.
That requires certain hard-headedness, certain stubbornness, and then certain grit and a little bit naivety.
Yep.
That you just like, okay, I gonna get this internship,
right?
This is gonna pay off.
Well, okay, so that is the mentality you have to make it in this industry. I'm convinced, right? Like now, like that is an upper echelon. Like that's a big baller move, right? Where you're like, I'm going to make this thing happen. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to get out there. I love that vibe. I love that mentality. But man, you literally took in the smallest amount of possible to do almost the longest possible drive in the hopes that this thing was going to work out. Now, to be fair, you also had your girlfriend there, so you had other things motivating you, but that's a big deal, right? Like that's a really big deal.
Right. And that takes some knuckleheadedness. Just some stuff you just don't think through. Like I tend to tell people I take pride in my logistics. I don't take pride with my logic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like to this day, like if I may not recommend myself doing that.
Do as I say, not as I do, right? Like
right. But hey, it did work out, and it did get my foot in the door. I remember that Monday morning I went in and had an interview. I think it was a 6-person panel, and each person had an hour.
Oh wow!
So it was altogether a 6-hour thing for an internship. But I guess back then they don't have the program wasn't super well established, so they're just like, no, we just like an interview,
right? Like
right.
Do you remember anybody that was in that interview session, like that we would know, or was it just such a blip, like that you had to interview with anybody that we would remember? You and I.
I don't know if you know Scott Yu was the technical artist, technical art director on Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. He was one of the interviewer and subsequently my mentor throughout my entire duration. And he recently was he still he left EA and then he came back to EA. So currently, I believe he is working at the EA headquarters. And up to a couple years ago, he was actually, I think, one of the lead producers on the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Oh, nice.
So my direct competitors.
Interesting.
So he gives me a hard time right now. It's like so you're working for the enemy.
That's funny. Huh.
So Scott Yu was one of them, and then Yvette, she is no longer in the industry. She left the industry when I was towards the end of my tenure over at EA. But I still remember her because she's also my mentor on Scott was basically game production, my mentor on a game production side, understanding like perforce, checking stuff, I think EA uses DevTrack, not Jira, and things like that. He helped me understand this is the production and this is how things need to get into the game, things like that. And then Yvette was my mentor in terms of like refining my skills in 3D because they were impressed enough with my portfolio reel, but I used a lot of bait and switch stuff. I downloaded some assets from the internet at the time, and I made it my I think end of the year film in black and white, and use some of the tricks I learned when I was working in LA in the compositing industry to have that atmosphere glow and lighting and things like that. So a lot of the lighting and the effects that you see is actually 2D post processing in After Effects and not so much in 3D, but it looks like everything is rendered out in this gorgeous high res 3D. With like tone shaders and things like that, and they're just like, we have never seen this before. This is amazing. But my modeling skill, my animation skill are all pretty raw because I was only 1 year into my study.
Interesting.
But she took me under her wing and then really trained me up on refining a lot of my skills. But what I remember from her is she was my last interviewer, and she asked me how I felt. And I say really nervous. I told her I hope I did the best I could. I think I did the best I could, but I don't know if I gonna make it. And she's like, "Are you kidding me? 6 of us who are in senior position on this project spend 6 hours of our time." In which we have potential of missing deadlines now. Like we don't know if we can ship this game for the holiday, and we're not gonna take you. That's nuts.
That's a really good point, right? Like people don't often think about the value of time, right? Like that was a very valuable time spent for that company. And so that's actually really interesting. People don't think about that a lot.
Right. And so I got the internship, and that was such an accelerated and exciting 3 month. Actually, that's another story. 3 month turned into a 6 month. I did, yeah. I guess my stubbornness, my this idealistic belief in like, this is how I imagine where things will be, and this is how I gonna make it happen. And then just the bullheadedness just like pushed me to go for it, where it's definitely not the norm, and a lot of the path I took is not the normal path. I convinced the EA to extend my internship, which EA uses at least at the time uses internship to evaluate potential permanent hires. So number one, they recruit interns that just newly graduated from their program, whether it's BFA student, MFA student, and whatnot. And number two, they try to use the summer internship because it's a good chunk of a 3 month long or 2.5 month long. And that should give them a good sense of this person's capability. And if it works out, it's immediate offer. to transition to work on it. So at the end of my internship, they came to me with an offer. They say, you did well. We would love to have you be on the team. I say, one small wrinkle. I haven't finished my degree yet. And they're like, what? And subsequently I discovered that I didn't read it or they didn't filter me out, but I didn't know you can only apply for internship, or they would generally give preferential treatment to student that's about to graduate or newly graduated.
Right.
I know there's a couple interns that are still year 3 of their study, but for my position, which is environment artist, they really wanted someone who can transition directly into full time.
Sure.
If things works out.
How much time did you have left on in your degree?
I was only 1 year in, so really I have 2 more years.
Oh wow!
With school. But at the time, I so when they came to me that with an offer, and I understood, I was like, oh, whoops, I'm not I haven't graduated yet. They came back and say, do you want to continue with your study? Which is a really interesting question.
Yeah.
And that sort of put a seed in my head. It's like, maybe I don't need to continue because I feel like I'm learning a whole lot more. Being on the team, I think at the time we have 24 3D environment artists, all like expert level, professionals,
right?
And immersing myself in that environment, working alongside of them, and then they took me under their wing. It's like, oh my god, I'm learning so much, and I'm getting paid for it. And versus if I go back to school, it's learning on my own again, and I have to pay the school to teach me.
Right.
Which it's you're learning something different from school, right? You're learning how to be more self-reliant and
independent,
and problem solving and things like that. But I just thought, maybe I need to consider dropping out. But my parents fought me so hard on that.
Yeah.
They say they conceded when I decided to go into the entertainment side of things, even though it's technology. They thought it's still kind of wonky, that career path. And then now you say you're gonna drop out. What are you doing with your life?
That is a tough pill to swallow.
Right. So my compromise. So I desperately want to make it work, and make it work, not as in I want to join EA. It's more like I want to make it work, pleasing my parents, appease my parents, and then buy myself more time to contemplate this question of, do I join the professional, join the work, or versus going back to school. So I convinced the EA to say, hey, can you extend my internship, which is unprecedented at the time, at least, by another 3 months. This was coming out September, until the holiday season. And this will allow me to finish up Lord of the Rings with Return of the King, the game, get it through the holiday. And on top of that, I'll learn more. And I forgot what other excuses I gave the EA Academy or EA University, but they bought into it. I think the biggest reason is the team has to buy into it too, and the team loves that idea because, again, the budget doesn't come out from the team. The budget continues to be handled by the EA University division. So they're like, hey, here's some guy who knows what he's doing. He knows the pipeline well, and we don't have to pay a dime for him. It's all on
of course others. They want you, right?
So they push for it. So I got it. So while all the other interns either got converted or they have to go back to school, I'm the one that continued to stay as an intern, and work through. So at the end, I think it was a period of 6 to 7 month long internship, and EA finally came to me and said, like, we can't do this anymore.
Right.
You gotta make a commitment. So I still have not decided whether to go back to school or stay at EA. What I did is I called the school and say, can I take a sabbatical? And they said, if you're gonna do that, you cannot just keep like delaying. Because at first I told the school is I'm gonna be back in 1 quarter. I'm taking 1 quarter long. And then I think one of the course credit was if you find an internship, you can convert that as course credit, but that doesn't happen until your year 3 or something. And then I made an arrangement with the school to say, hey, can you give me that credit for year, bump that up to second year, and things like that. So they already did that for me, and now I came back with that demand. They're like, the only thing we can do is if you come back to the school within 4 or 5 years, then you can continue on with your degree and finish it there. That's the
so they
best,
basically gave
best
you
thing that we can do.
a break, right?
Right.
Interesting.
Right. So I say, hey, I just mobbed myself 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
if I
there you
ever
go.
feel like I need to go back, I can. And that I was able to sell it into to my parents, and they're like, okay, fine, you do what you want.
That's awesome.
And I just then I took the offer from EA and just started working there, and rest is sort of history.
Interesting. So now, so you're there, you're at EA, you finish up your internship time. Now you get your break from your degree and you can start working full time, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So now what was your position when you signed on? Like, what level did you start at EA when you took this position?
So associate artist when
Okay.
I first started on an environment team, but the position is associate artist. At the time, I think my first gig after Return of the King shipped, they placed me as the sole artist on the Lord of the Rings PSP games.
Oh, okay.
They never shipped. It never got anywhere really, but it was the initial prototype because they were branching off 2 teams. One team actually, I think three teams. I can't remember what. Oh, the Bond team, the From Russia with Love.
Oh, that's right.
So Lord of the Rings Return of the King is a huge team. It was 180 people, and at its highest thing where they even recruited veteran from the video from the film industry. Like there's a huge group of Square Honolulu crew worked on Final Fantasy Spirit Within the movie. They hired just so many artists, and those artists needs home. And then so EA brought them all on board to wrap Return of the King. Return of the King was a big bet because it's the last of the trilogy. So the movie marketing is pushing really hard on it. And then for EA, the Two Tower games sold really well.
Yeah.
So they were being bullish on the outlook for Return of the King.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a no expense spared endeavor. It was 180 people, and at its high maybe over 200 people. That was unheard of. In video game production.
Absolutely. Like let's be clear. Like, what year was this? Like 2003. 3. Right. Oh, okay, 3. The biggest team I've been on at that point was 24 people. So like this is a massive team at the time. Right.
It's huge. It was 3 level pods, and each pod has in itself already have 24 people, like 8 artists, 8 engineers, and each pod has its own technical artist, UI UX design. There's no UX back then, just UI designers and things like that. It was a huge budget game, huge production value, and just simply a huge team. So they have to break that team up at the end of that. 1, it's not feasible, and 2, the return of the earning is not. It's still spectacular, but it's not where they want it to be.
Yeah.
So they say no. This approach of just like crunch through 9 months and get this many people together in a short period of time is not sustainable. So they broke us up. Some people went to the Lord of the Rings, the Third Age, which eventually I became part of. Some people went to the James Bond team, and then a very small group of us went to the PSP game. Gotcha. So that's how I got started. And then I think 6 months in, they say this is a no-go. The PSP has no future for this title.
Well, or in general. Like,
or in general, they don't have that kind of foresight.
right,
So,
right.
yeah, they did their marketing calculation. They're just like, no, Lord of the Rings game on PSP is a no go.
Interesting. Although they did
Uh,
make Lord of the Rings Tactics on the PSP, and I played that game somewhere that was
that
made in
is true.
EA.
Which team did that
I don't
one?
remember. I remember I bought it though
Oh, I
at our
know which
EA store.
Salt Lake City, Utah team.
Ah,
They outsourced it to that team. So Lord of the Rings Third Age. This becomes another. At that point, EA Redwood Shore Studio, generally their game is aimed towards holiday. So they have a lot of big licenses, movie licenses in general. And movie licenses are expensive, and they generally want to have a big hit. And what better way to get a big hit is releasing it for a holiday release. So generally, that studio, any game coming out of that studio is aimed for the holiday period. That means you have 9 months to work on it.
gotcha.
From January, right after the holiday, assuming the game is ready to go into production. Previous to that, you will have the pre-pro, starting in January, and then the team just work until September. And then submission takes almost submission, and then making the discs and packaging and all that takes 3 months for it to get on the store shelf by the holiday season.
Right.
So that means any production coming out of that studio is a 9-month production, always. And it becomes another thing that when by the time I roll on board the Third Age, we are fast approaching May. And the team have no idea what game they want to build. Originally, they thought maybe it's just an extension of Return of the King, this beat 'em up, semi-brawler sort of game. Seems to work well, but some other marketing research says it's getting stale after 2 games already, to the Two Towers and Return of the King. Maybe there's no appetite for that, so we need to pivot to something different. So I forgot who the creative director was, but that group of people, they were in love with a JRPG and thought, hey, maybe how about Western title? What better way to leverage this very Western license for a turn-based RPG, a la Final Fantasy. So let alone this team has zero experience in building out a turn-based RPG game, a JRPG game, and it requires a huge knowledge and balancing and all of that. Nope, the team just say, okay, we're doing this, and this was like maybe April, so we got a month and a half to prep for E3 show. So the team busted our ass to work on. I think this was Moria, Western Moria section, where leading up to fight the Balrog, and they collaborated together. We collaborated together with the level emphasis on immersion, big visual stuff, and toss out the level design. And just showcase the turn-based battle and just mimic the Final Fantasy thing, and then where it's just the big boss is the Balrog. And what is the setup? It's this B team of group of people comprised of an elf, a dwarf, I think a warrior type.
Right.
But so they're basically just a one-on-one mirror to the main Lord of the Rings crew, but they're no name, they're nobodies. Except we have a Gandalf there. I don't know why Gandalf is a part of that group. They have a kind of a haphazard story to say, hey, Gandalf came back, and then this group of people was always right behind the original Fellowship. It just the Fellowship never saw them following them, and this group of warriors, along with Gandalf, now take on the Balrog character. And we produced it. That was the time where we had to, I believe, stay overnight to crank this thing out.
Oh my gosh!
So there's a couple of nights where I slept under my desk in the sleeping bag.
Wow!
And that was sort of the norm too.
I mean,
that's how
mature
mature this industry was.
But now, to be fair, also that's the kind of stuff that led up to the whole EA spouse thing with EA, right?
Oh yeah. Exactly, exactly. It's a back to back. It's actually the third age is a precursor, and then Godfather was the nail in the coffin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just that, EA spouse is someone who works at EA LA at the time, which the current group, a chunk of the people I work with currently,
Mm-hmm.
day to day, they came from that studio, so
Oh,
they were in the midst of that. But EA spouse is the letter, and
yeah.
that letter just blow up.
Oh, yeah.
But the actual lawsuit is from my back then my good colleague Jamie Kirschbaum. Jamie was I don't know if you remember Jamie. He was a VFX artist. He was on the junior side. Um,
Mm-mm.
and he was working 7 days a week for 4 or 5 weeks in a row. He
Wow.
was looking pretty bad. But his parent is head of the law firm Kirschbaum and Kirschbaum. And
Ah.
his parent got concerned and started asking their son about, hey, what's going on with your work?
Interesting.
And they're the one that mounted the lawsuit. So at the time when the lawsuit was going on, it was fairly uncomfortable for a lot of people. I can't imagine being him, right? I talked to him at the time, and he's, from what I remember, everything seems normal. But I can't just imagine like the pressure you have to feel. Like your parents is the one that's suing our company right now,
Yeah.
and taking all this down. But I believe the management at the time is like, for Jamie, she gets to go home on time every day.
Yeah, one benefit, right? Like,
Right.
no, I honestly, like that whole thing. So when I came in was as Godfather was in the middle of development, and that whole scenario I thought started a very good change in perspective and process for EA, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because up to that point everybody always complained about EA, and my time there was as they were trying to fix that problem, and I saw them actively trying to make work-life balance better and rewarding people for what they do and making sure they're getting, you know, enough rest and those kind of things. And like, so my 4 years at EA were very, very good, because what I saw was them trying to be a better company, right, and trying to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Now they were forced into it, right, but by something like this. But I think overall the outcome was a very good one for them.
Mm-hmm. Right. For myself, I never had a big issue with EA in terms of the crunch. Yes, there's a couple of nights I basically spent overnight over there, but that was because the whole team is doing that, and I was young at the time. I didn't see anything wrong with that, because when I'm in school, I do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
um, like looking in the hindsight, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not great. But at the time, it wasn't because so. The difference is staying overnight is more self-imposed, as in the management did set deadline, and I think it's kind of a challenging deadline. But I want to do a good work, not just simply bang it out, but also
Yep.
make it good.
Yep.
So then you factor that in, and you calculate it backwards, and you're just like, yeah, I really need to do it overnight in order to finish this. But my manager never once came over and say, yeah, it's an all hands on deck situation where you have to spend overnight. There's certain thing I heard rumor that's what they did. The manager literally said, you have to stay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you have to. Or this weekend, you're working whole weekend, right? Sort of
Right.
thing. And my manager, whom I still keep in touch with to this day, he was another good mentor figure, John Solera. He was a GM for EA Capital Games, and he was he was an EP for Galaxy of Heroes. Now
Ah.
he's at Blizzard.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I broke John Solera's heart at one point,
Oh.
and I don't think he's forgiven me.
Oh, what happened?
Well, when I left EA to go to Volition, he had pushed really hard for me to get a big promotion, and all of that stuff was happening kind of at the same time, because I'm like considering leaving, and that was happening, and and he made it happen. And then as I was telling him, I have to leave. So like it was, he had gone to bat for me and I was super appreciative, but at the same time, it's like this whole other thing was happening. And that was rough because telling him was like one of the hardest things that I had to do. And because I know that he had gone for bat for me and had gotten me, you know, what I'd asked for essentially. And I was just like, I know, but, and that was tough. That was a really tough scenario for me. And, I think about that a lot actually, because that was one of those moments where I was like, you know, somebody literally went to bat, got me everything I wanted, and I'm like, I still needed to move on, and like that's rough because then essentially for him, he's like, I could have used this money for someone else, you know, like it was budgeted for this, and now someone else didn't get it, so that's rough.
What project were you on?
Godfather 2 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I completely forgot there was Godfather Part 2.
It was a good game. I played through it on stream about a year ago, or not quite a year ago, and like it was. There's some good stuff in that game. Man, it was definitely. There wasn't a 3, right? Like there definitely wasn't a 3, but no, it was good times. I like John Solera a lot, actually.
Yeah, I do. He really is someone who protects the team and made it better. And he's one of those producer who has a perspective on gameplay, right? There are certain producers, including myself. I see myself halfway, project manager and producer, but he is 100% producer, as in he keep playing the game over and over. He's testing it and he's calling out like any smallest details, but reasonable still. It's not just nitpick everything. I feel like he really is a core gamer, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to game design. And on top of that, he's a people person. Like he really know how to motivate the team.
Definitely. Yep, I agree with all of that. Man, right. So we are literally about 20 minutes from time right now, and we haven't even gotten through EA yet. So
oh man,
I think we're certainly going to have to figure out a time for you to come back on to talk about the second half of your career. But in the meantime, I would like to talk more about EA because we haven't even gotten to the project that we met on yet.
Right.
Which is the Simpsons game, right?
The Simpsons game.
So
right.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What at what point on, because that whole project is a little fuzzy for me, just details wise, and because I know you were an environment artist on that project,
right?
And that was when we kind of paired up, because I don't think we got paired up on a mission, did we? I'm trying to remember if we did or not.
Were you the lead designer for the Big Happy Fun
I was not
level?
I was not. That was okay. I think that was Michael, oh crap, what's his last name?
Swearingen? No, that's Scott
Swearingen. He did the Medal of Honor game.
Right.
The Medal of Homer. And oh crap, why can't I remember? Man, my memory is so bad. But no, I did not do the Big Happy Fun. But that's the thing. Like, so where I came in, I was the first level designer on the project. At that point, it had just been like Stone LeBrandy and, you know, the people that have been working on the kind of the higher level direction of everything. And they pulled me from Godfather before it fully finished so I could come to work on the project. And, you know, at that point we were waiting for the new engine. So we were prototyping in the Godfather engine, right? Which ended up being the engine we built it in. But at the time it was all, you know, I was the person who was prototyping and building out levels, and there was no process at the time. So I just started like, here's what we did at Oddworld, so I'm going to do that here kind of vibe. And so that was a whole lot of like where our prototyping stuff happened. And we built so much of that stuff intending to throw it away and then ended up using it. So that was a really wild time for me. And so for me, there was a whole lot of like, it was me and Justin Chen that were figuring out a lot of the design stuff. And we did we designed all the levels on paper and like came up with all the ideas for everything. And then we started, you know, kind of passing things out, and you know, here's the high concept for this level, and we paired up designers and artists. But I don't remember who did what at that point. And because we had level designers, was me and Scott, Michael, I remember his last name, and Ram Rodriguez.
Ron Rodriguez. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
And then Steve
Jason
Desolitz.
Patel.
Jayden? Did
Jaden, right.
I thought Jayden didn't work on this. He was on Dead Space.
No, Jaden was he paired up with me on the first level, Bartman Begins.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, because we also had Steve Desolitz,
it was
too.
another project. They just pulled everybody. It's the Come to Jesus project again. You got this holiday, or not even holiday, right? It was paired up with the Simpsons the movie.
Yep,
it has
that's
to release. That was the big opportunity for the team, and we have to ship.
Yeah.
So they basically pulled people from the Dead Space prototype team. They pulled the people from your team, the Godfather team.
Yep.
And then they I think by that time they shipped off the entire development of Tiger Woods PGA Tour to the Utah or Florida. Florida.
Yep.
So all the Tiger Woods people came over. So it was, and then the Sims people.
Yep.
Too, right, from Maxis.
Yep.
So it's this 4 groups of people all came together, and for a lot of us, it's the first time we got to know each other. And it's just a big melting pot of people.
And that's also a big part of
together.
why I forget a lot about it, because I was introduced to so many people, and at that point, I'd only been at EA for less than a year. So like it was just like this crazy like time, because I started as a Maxis employee. And I was on Sims Next Gen. Yeah, I was hired to work on Sims Next Gen.
Oh, wow.
So that was going to be a 360 title. And then 2 weeks later, I got pulled over to Godfather and was on that for like 9 months. And then came back, and then they're like, all right, now let's do the kind of things we were talking about before. I'm like, all right, let's go. Because we didn't really, like, Maxis didn't have level designers, right? Like there was nobody that did that kind of workflow before. And because that Sims Next Gen project was going to be a third-person action Sims game, and so like that was, you know, I was coming in to kind of bring that perspective into that project, and then the Simpsons game ended up being exactly that kind of game, which worked out pretty well. And that was why JK brought me back quickly as soon as he could to be the, you know, the first level designer on the project. So it was interesting, and it was a lot of fun. And I was a big Simpsons fan, so that was always really fun too.
Right. And not just that, like I think the management is also a hodgepodge of people from different teams. So there was some political struggle going on there.
There certainly was.
To JK, Jonathan Knight too. I mean, I think we have like 3 EPs or something like that.
Yep.
And don't know what they all do.
Yeah, well then JK, who was a producer, Jonathan Knight, ended up being creative director, right? Which wasn't really his forte, but it was a way for him and Scott Amos as executive producer to kind of work together in a way that worked, you know? So it was like, there was a lot of, like you're saying, like a lot of teams came together, and it was about a lot of finding out, you know, who are the right people to be in what positions, you know, and that kind of stuff. We had a lot of learning to do on top of trying to learn how to make that game, which was a monumental feat, because working with Gracie Films was challenging.
They are, to this day, of all the Warner Brother for the Lord of the Rings team, licensing team, to now currently I'm working with Marvel. Our team works with Marvel to get their approval for Strike Force. Gracie is by far the most difficult client.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, they're very nitpicky.
Very. And not only that, there would be times where we would like get on the same page about something, and then when the dialogue would come in, it would be different than what we talked about. And we're just like, so, but we can't, like, I guess this is what we do now, right? Like, we got to figure out a way to make this work. Now, the beautiful thing was we had their writers write every piece of dialogue for that game, which was fantastic, right? Like that, they did a great job with that. But that workflow of trying to, like, there was so many levels of people that had to go through to make that, because we never directly communicated with the writers, right? So there was just a whole lot of like, there was a lot of telephone being played. It made it hard at times to make sure that we were on the same page, and it took time.
Right. I remember towards the end of that production, there was a period of 3 weeks where we got the feedback, and I don't know why the feedback up to that point wasn't being communicated, is Simpsons has the TV show has a very flat shaded look
Mhm.
to things, and that's their trademark. But the film has a lot of the gradients and things like that because it's film production quality, and they want to new brush of paint on the film.
And it was the first time they moved to 3D for it, right? Like
right. For a lot of elements, so they want the game to represent the look of the film.
Right.
So we have to have like I forgot who our TAD was, and Rich Diamond.
Yep.
And he
Man,
has
I
to.
love that guy.
He's so good. It's such a lifesaver. And he has to invent new shaders, and then all of the texture artists, Gil Rodriguez and a bunch of other people have to like do overtime to basically paint every level with a fresh coat of paint to have that shaded look, that gradient thing. And man, that was not fun. trying to change the look of the game last minute.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. But I had a lot of good time. Ultimately, I mean, it's pretty. Some of it is pretty meta. It's pretty witty in general. Some level, I don't know if we worked as well as it could. But ultimately, I feel like there's enough fan service in that game. There's so much fan service. And it's not just simply for the fan of The Simpsons. It's a combination of fans of The Simpsons and then the fans of video game pop culture.
Yes.
And there's a lot of subtle nuance, Easter eggs thrown into the game. And then they let us do it. Like, so we have, I forgot who the production coordinator or the person who was facilitating to get approval by that, but that person did a great job. Like, I would call out various things that I threw in there. And this is the first time I feel like I have a total ownership as an artist of the level, because as long the layout is not changed, the visual of things is really up to me. Because Ash Huang, he has it up to here. Like, there's so many levels and so many things, and he was heavily focused on the look of the characters and things like that. He doesn't have the time to do art direction for every single level. So for some of us who are in lead environment artist position, we get the free reign to dictate what that would look like. It just he still have the final sign off, but he wasn't establishing the vision of it. It's just like, just go, bless you, and just go to town with it. So I threw in like so many, like when I was getting the Japanese level, I'm just like, this is my jam. So I threw in all sorts of reference from the Okami, Amaterasu. Like, I changed the Santa's little helper statue, like turned him into a statue and then dressed him up as Amaterasu. So it's like a kind of a mix of Simpsons reference and the video game reference. And then in the mouth of the Amaterasu statue, it has a keyblade, like Sora's from Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
But at the end of the keyblade has a little chain on it, right? In the Kingdom Heart, it's a Mickey's head shape, but I turn it into like Itchy and Scratchy or Itchy's head, like down to that kind of level of
so
detail.
You
and
just
for
did
people
that.
to find.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. I think you can still find it on YouTube to this day. Like, Google Amaterasu or Okami in Simpsons Game, and then some people record it. Like, is that what I think it is?
That's funny.
So I had a blast on that game working as an artist there, and also I really like the technical challenges. Like, how do you make flash shaded thing and have that toon shaded streak? Because remember, that was my graduate or grad school end of the year thesis, and I was doing research in that technology. So it's not like I ported the technology to the game, but I done research on from every angle how things would look, right? And I kind of trickled that knowledge to the rest of the environment team.
That's awesome.
and that's, I think, the first time I truly felt like, hey, I'm sort of project managing this. Again, our director is so busy, he can't give the direction for everyone. And then technical side, there's a lot of also the internship and different people from different group. And some of them, this tone shaded thing is really not their jam.
Yeah.
They come from, Godfather or basically ultra realistic look and feel to this brightly colored thing. And then on top of that, you expect them to say apply the shader this way or that way to create a cell shaded outline. It was just too much. So
Yeah.
I was teaching people the technique, and then I was telling them and say, how about you take this piece and you take that piece, and wrangling that and making it all work. And I essentially sort of played a project manager for the entire environment art team.
I didn't realize that. Oh, okay. Man, there's so which other levels on the Simpsons game did you work on? Was it just the one, or did you have others that you worked on as well?
The level 1, the apartment begins a museum level.
Right. Okay.
And then the entire big super happy fun level, and then the one that's like at a portion of the level where it's with the I think like a SeaWorld park.
Yep.
Where there's dolphins and things like that.
That was during the Treehouse of Horrors type stuff where you're fighting all the dolphins. Yep.
Right. Yeah. That was mine too.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, the main things I focused on was the Around the World in 80 Bytes, which was the first level, right? So, and actually I need to ask you a question about that story. One of the stories I always tell about our Core X development, right, which was our proof of concept. We're building out the level, we're proving everything. So we were moving toward our Core X. We had a deadline, and I was the level designer that was like all these tools and everything was coming in, right, from all these different people, and I was the person who was putting everything into the game, right? So I was in charge of that level. And so we got to the point where like so many things were coming in, we were making adjustments, and I was working a lot, and I got super sick. Like I got like really sick to the point where I would sit at my desk, I would work on something, I would wait for it to build, or arc, if you remember, it was an arc when we were doing it on renderware, and I would lay on the couch near my desk for a half hour while I waited for it to finish. Then I would come back, check it, do more work. Like 90% of the team caught this illness that I had. I don't know if you remember this or if you were one of the people that caught it. And I often
think I remember that. Yeah. I'm just like, what? So and so is out.
Oh, again, everybody got
the next person's out.
And like at our launch party, they gave me an award called the J cell virus because I had gotten so sick and like gotten everybody ill. So I'm always curious if people on the team remember that or whatever, or if you probably got it. So, and I remember at the time Darren Fuda I think Darren was having a kid, and he got it, and he was like super freaked out about it. It's like, oh, I don't want to give it to my kid, like that whole scenario of him getting sick and being afraid. So it's like it was a big deal, right? Because you think about like 90 people down for several days, the amount of money we lost because I was working too hard and then got sick. Like that was a big learning lesson for me.
Right.
Oh man.
Well, one thing that flashed across my head tying into today's world, say once we got over this whole COVID thing, back to work, and next time when it's just a flu, sure, regular flu, but it's a flu. Would people going forward be more comfortable wearing masks now? It's like, hey, I'm
sick. Yeah, that's a good point.
And preventing the spread. I don't know. It's a really different world now.
It sure is. Somebody put in the Twitch chat a link to your a video showing the Kingdom Hearts reference. So that's funny. That's awesome. All right, so we're actually at kind of a good point to stop here. I would like, I know you are super busy. Maybe we can find some time in like January or something for you to come back and finish, because we still got a lot to cover, right? As far as like the rest of your time at EA, what you did since then,
Right,
what we
right.
did together later. Like we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So
There's still quite a bit. Like I finally got on my dream team, Dead Space. I've been begging for it. It's just like, get me off of the Simpsons. I love the Simpsons, but Dead Space is where it's at. Come on.
yeah.
And then once I got on it, why did I leave EA? I think Glenn Schofield, who was an
hmm
EP, you're talking about John Soler never forgave you. I don't think Glenn Schofield forgave me to this day for leaving. He went to bat for me to get me on the team, and then I'm like, guess what? I'm leaving.
Yep, that's good times. That's learning lessons, and it's that's always fun. I have those moments that I think about throughout my career where I'm like, I that, like, for me, leaving and going to Volition was absolutely the right thing for me to do. I had a great 8 years at Volition and learned a lot of things, did great stuff. Had I stayed there, who knows, right? Like, it could have been just as great, but it was definitely a decision that I needed to make, and it was a good one for me. But man, just thinking back to like the look on his face, right, when I'm like, I have to go, and like that stuff that stays with you, and like, and you always wonder, like, how that impacts relationships, because this industry is really small. It's really small, and you don't want to burn bridges, like, and I think it's really good to be upfront with people and be honest with people, and that was the thing I did with him. I was like, look, here's why, right? I'm moving closer to family. It's like, it's a whole thing. It's not just that, oh, I've got a better offer, I'm out. I guess there's a lot to that, but it still impacted me, and I still think about it today. So like, there's those kind of things are always in the back of our minds.
Yeah,
I think
you never know what stays with you. We're living through life every day where things come up, we deal with it. Just many things you just cannot plan.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times things don't hit you until a little way down the road. It's like,
Right.
oh wow, that one was for me, it's a turning point. I didn't even realize at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep, and the longer we do this, the more of those we're gonna have, and then also the more of those we'll forget. So,
Right.
it's man, how so you've been doing this for what? When was your first actual game? Like, was that 2003, 2002?
03.
Yeah.
That was the first game.
Yeah. So you're pushing 18 years soon, and I'm
Pushing that.
yeah, and I'll be 20 years in February. So like, that's a long time to be doing this. So.
That's a long time, and the industry, at least, well, my role has changed substantially, right? From artist to UI designer, then designer producer, and then now it's full on production.
Right.
And a lot of people, even within the industry, even on my current team, they always are fascinated because artists don't usually make that transition. Whether it's just simply the limitation of that role, art is very specific, specialized role, and to make that transition over, it's really hard. Because when you're so specialized in that one thing, you don't have the experience or sometimes even capacity to take over the broader game development side of it.
Yeah.
Well,
the more focused you get in your craft, right? Like, as an artist, you're working on pieces, right? You're not working with people and planning production and all that kind of stuff generally. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, so role has changed and the industry has changed also, right? We came from console development, game as product background, and then gradually the industry started going with at least my more of a startup, smaller company experience. They are trending towards mobile because that's an easier thing to chase after.
Yeah.
Smaller team, lower budget, easier, quicker to crank things out. But then as mobile become big, then it becomes AAA budget, AAA revenue, and it becomes game of service, free to play game of service thing. And that is very little of that resemble the production that we were used to back in the 2000s. So the industry has changed quite a bit. So for me, it's not. Yes, if I look back, it's like, wow, 18 years. But at the same time, it's not like, wow, it's getting stale or I'm getting super burnt out, because the challenge continue to to be different.
Yeah. And I think that's even true,
every few
even
years.
if you do continue to do the exact thing, but the way that our cycles work in game development, it's like, you know, every couple of years you're starting a new thing and moving it through the process. So like, and that's different every time, even if you're making a sequel or like your individual role, the pieces of content you're working on, the people around you. Like, that's the thing I love about game development is it continues to be fresh all the time. Like it's never exactly the same, right? In some way. So like that feels really nice and helps keep it, you know, feel that way, which is good. Like it's one of my favorite things about it in general.
Right.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you doing this. We definitely will find some time to continue this because we still got a lot of stuff to cover.
I would love to come back, and ultimately, I a lot of time, if nobody asked me about this, some of these memories just buried in the back of my head. I didn't even know there's that much story to tell.
Right.
And I always thought it's just like it's what I build, what I help the team build. That's for sure. But my life is just really not all that exciting. But when you start talking about it, it's like I went through quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but just like what we do and what we have done over the last, you know, couple of decades is fascinating to a lot of people, even though it doesn't seem that way to us, especially when we're in it, right? Like it just feels like we're doing what we have to do to get through the day. Like we're working on our tasks, whatever. But man, like I often have to step back and be like, you know, there are a lot of people that would love to be involved in what we do, and it's a fascinating field, and there's a lot to it, and everybody's story is different. So hearing all these different stories, I think is great. I love hearing them, and I'm in the industry, so like I appreciate you coming on and giving us your perspective, and I look forward to finding some time for us to finish up and continue through the rest of it.
For sure. Awesome. Love to do that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I will jump off here and say my goodbyes. Thank you for joining me, and I'll touch base with you and we'll figure out some time.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, man.
Bye, everyone.
Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.